This is an institutional case study analysis and final recommendation and reflection by myself, Joshua Lewis, American College of Education. My professor is Dr. Karen Hansen Morgan. The university that I did my case study on was Cal State Fullerton. Um, this is a public university in Fullerton, California, established in 1957. They are ranked number 4 by the top public as a top public school and number 5 innovative school by U.S. News and World Report. College holds a special place in my heart because it is the place where I graduated in 2001 with my bachelor's. I also received my master's there and my teaching credential and my administrative credential. It was close to home. I lived in Chino Hills nearby and was able to commute there. They also have an arboretum there, and that is where I married my wife, Felicia. She also is a graduate of Cal State Fullerton. But got my degree there and was married there. So I knew a lot about the college, but it was a lot of fun to go through this course and learn even more about the college and do this deep analysis of it. So the operations and governance, Fullerton, the governance is the responsibility of the president and the administrative staff. They do have an academic senate, which is made up of professors that recommends policy, but ultimately the president and the administration have the final authority. My recommendation here is to establish trust and associations governance model based on a shared governance model. This method includes meaningful stakeholder input committees, spreading the authority to a larger group of staff. Financial considerations, they have a operating budget of $442.2 million. Largely, this revenue comes from federal and state funding, student tuition, parking lot fees, endowments, and other private investments. The the full-time tuition is $2,871 and part-time is $1,665. My recommendation here is with the reduced federal and state funding that all colleges are facing, ensuring that lower socioeconomic students have equity and equal access by assisting them with a comprehensive list of financial aid resources. They mention Cal Grants and Pell Grants and middle class scholarships, but they really need to do a full court press to make sure that students have access to those and understand those and are able to apply. They also need to strengthen partnerships with strategic outreach to local districts. They have a very big teaching program there, but they need to continue to grow and strengthen and expand those partnerships. And the same with industry. Have some very famous actors that went to school. That Kevin Costner is probably the most famous, but they need to continue to make those connections so that the students can strive and move forward in their future. Human resources, they have 3,805 employees. Composition is made up of full and part time. 25 to 1 student to faculty ratio, which is higher than the national average of 15 to 1. This could mean that students have less access to the professors. There's a larger class size and just fewer opportunities to connect with the professors. The average age is 47 years old, and the average length of service is 9.7, which doesn't seem like very long. The tenure is earned on the sixth probationary year, regardless of the rank at which they were appointed. So, my recommendation here really focuses on that tenure. They need to review that and consider eligibility to ensure that well qualified individuals are recruited. More tenured teachers could have a positive impact on research productivity and ultimately the students. And they also need to make sure that the folks that they are hiring match the composition of their students. So to kind of inspire them to move forward. Marketing and enrollment. The website is fullerton.edu. It's in orange and blue colors. They have the campus philanthropic campaign. It takes a Titan. which you see here prominently displayed. You see the mountains there. That's the San Gabriel Mountains here in our area. And the mountains are there to inspire determination and persistence to blaze a path for others. Um, they also have the Titan One Stop Shop, TOS, which is designated to help students throughout their journey at Cal State Fullerton. It supports them with admissions, registration, financial aid records, anything that they could need. It's TOS, One Stop Shop. iTough is a little bot that kind of answers frequently asked questions that students might have. They're also all over every social media that you can imagine. They have an account for Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Flickr, Instagram, and LinkedIn. They have a 67.6% acceptance rate. Last year was not a normal year, so they didn't require the SATs, and they also accepted pass and fail grades. Normally, they don't. Normally, they require a SAT between around 1030 and 1200, but all that was waived last year. So, my recommendations here are to strike a balance between attracting students and offering majors that are in high demand. That's a key balance that they need to consider. They also need to adapt to the changing demographic, government needs, and the funding restrictions. Quality culture, they were accredited by the Western Association of Schools and Colleges recently in 2019 for another 10 years. They have an Office of Assessment and Institutional Effectiveness that is very active, looking at systemic and integral efforts to explore the impact of programs, curricula, services, operations, and anything else that they can analyze. They use a quality matters process to explore the quality of just about everything. My recommendation here is that any quality improvement initiative should address the needs of higher education system as a whole. So they have a good start here, but they need to continue to expand that. And one way to do that is look at the quality of the data. Um, this could be looking at the state longitudinal systems. I know in K-12 we have CalPads, and it's really starting to pull in every piece of data that it can from all the school districts, from all of the foster homes, everything. It's all in there, and it's kept longitudinal to see how we can make changes for better student outcomes. And that's what this college needs to do as well. Leadership, they have a student composition of 46.2% Hispanics, 20.7% Asian, and 18.5% white. They are number two nationally for baccalaureate degrees awarded to underrepresented students. They are designated as a Hispanic serving university, which gets them some additional funding. My recommendations here are to review the equity gap data, and examine strategies to continue to decrease those gaps where they exist. This might be in pedagogy or curricula. Those are the foundations for inclusiveness for all students. This university spends a lot of money on facilities. $3.9 million was spent on a parking structure. 12 million was spent on baseball locker rooms, and 4.8 million was spent on 2 library floors. Lavish buildings, I mean, this is my recommendation here. They drive up the cost of tuition, and as a result, they also oppress low income families, and they're not needed for a quality education. The vision and mission, as I close here in conclusion, for Cal State Fullerton is learning is permanent at Cal State Fullerton. We aspire to combine the best qualities of teaching and research universities where actively engaged students and faculty and staff work in close collaboration to expand knowledge. My final recommendations here are to have collaboration to explore innovative ways to meet the needs of the students, to create a compelling vision that everyone can identify with, and to enable effective communication. And this kind of goes back to governance and the academic senate that they have. Really needs to be more meaningful and building trusting relationships with stakeholders. And here are the references for this presentation. Thank you so much. I've enjoyed the class. I appreciate it.